Okay, I'm back. I had paused there for a second to get my printout of what I'm doing today. So if you wanted to, print anything off so you have it beside you, or pause this video to go find what I'm talking about, every time I refer to a print-based thing, it's going to be in this section here. Here. So this, the course announcements, right at the top of the course, right? So between when I'm recording this and when we meet tonight, I will have a June 17th lecture class posted. I will have elements of performance. I'll have the concepts. I'll have the assignment notes. So you can go back and forth and just pause this video. I recommend that you download this video to your desktop rather than viewing it online, because everyone, including myself, internet is garbage, even though I know you guys up north probably have it way worse than me. So if I remember correctly. So now what I want to talk about is elements of performance. So we are now in module 4. Okay, module 4 is chapter 9. This talks about all the cash requirements of a business. Sorry, jumping around here. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly bring it up here and discuss it. So here we are, elements of performance, what we're going to learn about cash duties of a business. And so all the reading that you have to do on this lesson is in chapter 9 of the textbook. So as you can see, it's talking about petty cash funds, it's talking about bank accounts, and it's talking about bank reconciliations. Okay, there's no assignment per se with regard to this. I don't make you do bank reconciliations, but it's still good reading and it's still relevant to the course, and it will help you. Okay, so this basically just run through module 4 that you found in Moodle, read it through, tells you the chapter, tells you the pages to read, and tells you the practice questions to do. If you run into trouble there, let me know. I'm not going to really read this through with you. You guys can do that on your own. Okay, there's nothing specific in here that relates to the journal entries on the assignment, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I do now want to go on to lesson 5, which has a lot more relevant information as it pertains to what we have to do for assignment 2. Okay, so module 5 is doing payroll. So in assignment 1 we saw the payroll, or the employees and their hours. Now we're going to know how many hours they worked, and we're going to be expected to do a payroll journal entry. Okay, payroll including CPP, EI, tax deductions, the whole shebang. So here we have module 5. If we look on our left-hand side here, we have all of the course outline elements of performance that you need to know throughout this. We find out that it's in chapter 10 of the textbook. The assignment that we're going to do here, assignment 2, is worth 5% of your final mark. That is the one that's due next Monday, this 24th. Okay, so this just talks about different types of payroll. We're doing things manually, so you can see how it's done. There's different pay frequencies. Most people are paid bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks or 26 times a year. The assignment will be that pay frequency. Okay, we're doing it manually. Again, most computer systems that you'll work with, especially if you have something like Sage, you can buy the add-on to do payroll. If you have more than a few employees, that's recommended, because then it just does it all for you. It'll do all the tax deductions. It'll do T4s. It'll do everything. Okay. Yeah, so here we talk about, but there's also weekly, semi-monthly, monthly are ways that you can get paid. We talk about minimum wage. We talk about record keeping. We talk about deductions from pay. We talk about overtime. If you work more than 8 hours per day or 40 hours a week, you get paid overtime according to Manitoba employment standards. Rest periods, pay off in lieu. So producing a pay is what you guys are going to want to read through pretty carefully in the lesson and in the textbook. And it'll talk about yeah, just exactly how to process pay. Here, specifically here, we talk about salaried workers and how they get paid. So I just really want to encourage you, it talks about CPP and EI now. I encourage you to read through this lesson thoroughly. It talks about the CPP rates, the EI rates, what percentage we're taking off. It talks about CPP, the first $3,500 that you earn is CPP exempt, but you don't get that on the first $3,500 that you earn. You spread it out. So if it was bi-weekly, you would take that $3,500, divide by 26 pay periods, and that amount is what you would use for each pay period that is exempt from CPP. This lesson talks about that. It also talks about the fact that for every dollar of CPP and EI that you pay as an employee, your employer is required to pay some money too. It's dollar for CPP, and for every dollar of EI that you pay, your employer has to pay $1.40. Okay, so that's something to remember when you're going through it all. Yeah, just kind of talks about the history of income tax and does some examples. So you'll see some examples here that you should find helpful. Year-end payroll reports, read it through. That's not part of the assignment. And now there's just some extra kind of administrative stuff about workers' compensation and vacation pay and stuff like that. For the purpose of this assignment, we're not going to calculate vacation pay separately. Vacation pay, typically when you're a full-time employee, you are accruing vacation. So if you work for a full year, you've accumulated and earned 2 weeks of vacation, or about 4%. So that would be then, you would then be able to take 2 weeks off and still receive pay. So it's not added on to each and every paycheck, but it's paid out later on when you do take the time off. Okay, that's vacation pay. Talks about stat holidays, that kind of thing. So just that's it. That's kind of the gist of lesson 5 and the important concepts. Read chapter 5 very well. And let's just take a quick scan through anything else here for lesson 5 that we haven't talked about. So here you'll see this lesson 5 elements of performance that I have on the left. That's going to be posted in a separate post on Moodle. It's also found within your lessons and the course outline. Basically everything you need to know. And then do the practice exercises and check your work. The CPP and EI rates will be given in the questions, and then you can compare it to the solutions. Note that I've updated the assignment for this delivery of this course. So if the EI rate is a little bit different, it just means that I'm working in a different year. So 2017 or 2018, EI percentage is different than it was in 2015. The concept and the steps to do the calculations are the same, but we would just be timesing it by a different rate. So if you look at that and go, well, why are the EI rates different? Why is this not the same as what I read in the lesson? Because I think, for the most part, I've brought the assignment up to date, so it's the most current stuff. And actually, let me just quickly click on assignment 2. So when you get to assignment 2, and I'm jumping ahead here a little bit. I might go back in a second here, but assignment 2, ABC case study, right? So now we're just having a continuation of assignment 1. So once you have assignment 1 submitted to me and I've returned it to you marked with corrections, then you're safe to get into assignment 2. So you'll know if you made a mistake on assignment 1, that's going to affect assignment 2, because assignment 1 to 6 is totally cumulative. So if you were to, I've had a couple of students who submitted to me assignment 1 to 6 all at once, and I just go, oh no, because if you made a mistake in assignment 2, it's going to flow all the way through the end. So we're just going to do this one by one, and any corrections I make to assignment 1, you will incorporate into assignment 2. The opening balances, if they've changed, then you're going to make those changes to your new submission. So just be careful for that, and like I said, stay on top of your submissions. I'll try and mark them and get them back to you as quick as possible. Okay, so here's the question. I'll open it up just so I can have it on the left-hand side for you. So assignment 2. This is just a quick review so that you know where to go after this lesson when you want to begin. Okay, so assignment 2 now tells you these same people that we saw in assignment 1 are now working. They're working full-time. They're working 80 hours a week, or 40 hours a week, so 80 hours bi-weekly. Okay, it tells you, so the new concepts you're going to see in this lesson are, we are now running, right? We're now operating. We've started the daycare. We are billing parents. We are receiving payments, parents, guardians. We are receiving payments for those spots that we've billed for. and we are paying our staff. Okay, so, and some entries are going to be very similar because now you're still buying you're making some purchases for programming on the 5th there, so that's going to be a repetitive type journal entry, but these other ones are going to be new and look different to you. So I want to talk about that, okay? So let's talk about the first entry. The center is a licensed center. It has 32 full-time preschool spaces. Ready? And normally when we're billing for a 4-week period. And that's all those 4-week time increments are set out by the province. And so this might not be identical to 2018. Again, or 19, I'm not working in a daycare, so I don't see those schedules anymore. But for the most part, let's just assume that the 12th to the 31st is a billing period ending on the 31st. So because we weren't open when that period began, we're only billing for 3 weeks right now. And then after this, we're going to be on a 4-week schedule to jive with that. And a lot of times it's easier to do it that way, to bill exactly the same way as subsidy is, because if you have some subsidized kids in your center and you know that you're reconciling their accounts on a 4-week schedule, because that's how subsidy works, then why not have everybody in the center in the same way? So that when I worked at a center, that's how we did it. We billed for 4-week increments at a time, and then all of our billing and payment stuff was the same, whether there were parent or guardian paid or subsidy paid. So here we are, we're going to bill only for 3 weeks. So this entry will look a little different than all future billings because they will be for 4 weeks. So we're going to take 32 spaces, and it's $20.80 per day and times 15 days in 3 weeks, right? And so that's going to be how much we're going to bill the parents. So we've earned that revenue. We're going to bill the parents. And so, but we're not collecting anything yet. So what this entry is going to look like is we want to record the fact that someone owes us money, right? The parents or guardians. And we want to reflect the fact that we've earned some revenue, right? So if we go back to the chart of accounts and we think about, well, if we're not getting money, then we're not debiting a cash 101. What are we debiting? Right below that, you're going to see the line called accounts receivable. I think there's a parents receivable there too. I don't really care which one you use because really what other kind of receivables are you going to have? For the most part, this will be the main one. So we're just going to pick that receivables account, and that's our debit. So that just shows us that money is owed to the center. Debit accounts receivable for the whatever that amount was, 32 times 20.8 times 15. It's 9,000 and something. And then the credit is revenue. So what kind of revenue? And I think if you go back and you look at it, there's parent fees. So just choose that account and credit it. Okay. So, but then what about when we collect money? Okay. So we've already recorded the revenue. We already recorded the accounts receivable. What happens when people actually give us cash? Cash we need to put in the bank. So here you have January 14th. You received $3,328 from parents. So revenue is taken care of. We already credited revenue. We don't have to touch it. This is just simply the fact that people who used to owe us money, AKA accounts receivable, now don't owe us money because we've received the money. So what we want to do is remember in that first entry, we debited accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is an asset, has a normal debit balance. We debited it to increase it. Now when we're getting money, we want to decrease it. So we're actually crediting accounts receivable in this entry for the amount that we received. And we're debiting the bank account because we've received the money, we're putting it in the bank, and we're increasing the bank account. So that January 14th entry will be a debit to bank, credit to accounts receivable for $3,328. Okay, January 21st will be the same. And then what's happened here is that on the 3rd we billed and had an accounts receivable balance. On the 14th, we reduced that accounts receivable balance. On the 21st, as you can see here, 6,656 is received again, so we will further reduce accounts receivable. And when you add that all up, it shows that all the parents who were billed have paid their bill, and there's a $0 balance in the receivables account. Okay? So that's really the first 4 journal entries because January 5th is a repetitive entry, so you should know how to do that. Then we go on to payroll. Okay, in the assignment, you have the general journal, but here you have a payroll record. Okay, if you can see on the left-hand side. You have the payroll record. So here's where you're going to list all the employees. You're going to list their gross pay, which is given. You are told what tax code they're in. So on the left-hand side, you'll enter their tax codes, their names, their gross pay. That's all given, okay? Then what happens is you have to figure out the deductions, okay? If you go to the textbook, it's got, I think, it's page 127, hold on, chapter 10. So chapter 10 talks about this stuff, and it actually shows you on page 196, 197, samples of deduction tables, okay? So what I want you to do, I want you to remember a couple of things. So, and this is in, everything I'm saying here is in the Moodle course announcement stuff. So there's 3 things you have to remember when you are now taking the gross pay dollars and going into the tax tables. And let's do this together for First Lady, Sally Ashton, 30 hours per week. She worked $30 per hour. She worked 80 hours. She's getting paid $2,400, and she's claim code number 5. Okay, so let's do this. So she's tax code 5. This is Sally Ashton, and she's getting $2,400. Okay, the reason we fill out this chart is because the bottom dollars, these totals, are gonna be used to do our journal entry. Okay, so we don't do a journal entry for each employee. Any person in the accounting department can look at the general journal, the general ledger. They shouldn't be able to know what you and I make. So the payroll record is in HR. The payroll journal entry per person that creates the payroll is in HR. But the cumulative balance of the entire payroll for that pay period is in the general journal, and that's all we're going to post. So this payroll record is used to combine a bunch of information to create one journal entry. So think about that. You don't have to enter 5 or 6 journal entries because you have 5 or 6 employees, okay? So now, as you can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, you have assignment 2, and you have the actual instructions that we just opened up here. Then below that, we have tax tables. So what I've done is I've linked you into the 2018 payroll deduction tables that are on the CRA website. So I'm going to quickly open up the tax tables thing, and I'm going to show you. So what we want to remember is that a couple of things. What is the pay frequency? It's biweekly. What is the tax code? It's number 5. And what is her gross pay? $2,400. Those 3 pieces of information are mandatory. You have to know them before you even go into the tax tables. So what I want to do now is do this column here, federal tax. And on the right-hand side, you can see my tax tables. So it starts really low. So anybody who makes over $500, it potentially has to pay taxes. So I'm going to scroll down because I need to find $2,400. Okay, and I found it right here. 23. I want to bullet that line there. So 2377 to 2401. Okay, this is, sorry, I'm going to use my draw thing here. I want to point that out really carefully. So this is the line I'm on, right? And so the dollar value that she made helps us find the number on the left-hand side of the chart, and the tax code helps us go across the top of the chart. She is code number 5. So where do these numbers meet? So Sally made $2,400. She has claim code 5. And so we have to take $250.70 of federal tax off of her pay. Okay? Then we're going to scroll down because both types of taxes are in the same file. Federal always starts with the letter D at the bottom of the page, and that what we just did was found on page D10. Then we're going to scroll down. Okay, now you can see we're in E. E's Manitoba. And I'm going to do the same thing. Find $2,400. Here we go. 2396 to 2420. Okay, and claim code number 5. Right? Where do these numbers meet? 20520. me double check. So 2400, claim code 5, 20520. You can see now I'm putting that on the left-hand side into my payroll register. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. And I'm gonna close that. Yep. And sorry, got too many screens open. I quickly just go back to that class. I lost my link, and I'm gonna go back to assignment 2 quickly and open that up. My goal was to not have a 37-minute video because it's a lot to watch. Okay, quickly do CPP. So the claim code, the task code 5 is only relevant to taxes. Now when we do CPP, you can do it manually, which the lessons will explain, but you can also look it up in the charts. So all I'm gonna do is find, I have to be in CPP biweekly.